FreeSalonEducation.com invites you to join us every Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for live and interactive classes from your favorite free salon education educators. So grab a mannequin, get set up, and make sure to share your results using the hashtag FreeSalonEducation. FSE Live starts now.
Welcome to our Wednesday night online live class, or if you're watching it on like a Saturday afternoon, then happy Saturday afternoon. For all of those of you that are tuned in, we got Christina manning our chat room box thing, so if you have any questions as we go, please let us know. My name's Brian Haire from FreeSalonEducation.com, and since I'm doing the class tonight, Matt said I can call the class whatever I want. And since it's Wednesday, I've decided that we're calling it Hump Day Hair Party because we're just hanging out, having some fun, doing some hair. And I've been really racking my brain for the past couple days about the best way to do this in a timely manner and still do color for you guys that you can use and do all that great stuff. So I think we got it worked out pretty well. I had my lovely model Rachel come in earlier, and I did her hair. She's in the back getting shampooed right now. Matt. And then he's going to get her nice and finished so that I have a really nice after for you. And I'm going to bring out a mannequin to show you literally exactly what I did on her. The haircut's pretty similar. I mean, it's not a completely cut mannequin, but it's close enough. You'll get the idea. My big thing that I wanted to do tonight, of course, I wanted to do some balayage. But I didn't want to just do like another balayage like you've seen 100 times over, or that maybe you've done 100 times over, because I feel like I'm seeing a lot more people play with balayage, which is great, but I'm seeing people using balayage but creating more of an all-over color rather than just a highlighted effect. And what I mean is when you foil somebody, say you just do a half a head of foils, you've still got their color as your primary color. It's just now highlighted. It's accented. You've created dimension. So I wanted to do that as well with balayage. So I left plenty of her hair out, and I'm just accenting it through the layers with what I created. Also, the other thing that I wanted to do is absolutely freezing outside. So I wanted to warm things up a little bit. I feel like in the industry right now, it's all about freezing cold colors. I've been looking at them for months, which is great. I love those nice icy platinums and the chilly blues and purples and all that stuff. But Rachel came in for a haircut with me last week, and she has this gorgeous fiery red hair. And I said, you know what? Let's do that. Let's balayage that and work off of that, because redheads need to have fun too, and ashy icy tones don't always look best on red hair. So I decided, excuse me. All right, we're good. That's what happens when you go live. I wanted to work with like nice, pretty golds and really just amp up her color and give her a really nice, just accent. So, getting started. Lovely mannequin here. I've got her sectioned off. I've said this before in our videos, but I'm going to pretend as though you've never seen one of our videos ever before. This is our first time meeting. It's nice to meet you. So, for balayage, you are going to want them to come in. I tell them I need your hair to be done the way that you do it every single day. I'm not looking for you to get a really fancy blowout or iron your hair to death. Nothing crazy like that. Just how they're normally going to wear it, because you're creating something that's going to look best based off of how they actually look. So I just tell them, try not to have it in like I just washed my kitchen floor knot on top of their head, and you should be fine. So I've got her going off of her natural part. And then just to behind the ears, just like you do, with your typical hair cutting sections, all that stuff. I do have the back, instead of quadrants, it's all one in the back. So you can see that there. That's how we're going to work off of that. So we're going to start in the back. All right. Got myself all set up, ready to go for you guys. I know people are going to want to ask, so I'm just going to tell you before anybody even asks. The lightener that I'm using is Sunlights from Candy Shaw. We got the Bali box in, which I love because it comes with your nifty paddle. The great brush, that the consistency of the brush works beautifully with the consistency of the product, so using it all together, it just really helps. It even comes with its own special perforated saran wrap. Excuse me. excuse me, so that we can just stick that saran wrap right in there and then just keep moving while keeping the sections all separated from each other. All right, so I've got the back of her head. I'll make sure that we can see. You see that a little bit if I'm working right here? Oh, we're going this way. Cart's in the way. You like that? Look at that. Christina's a pro at this. What would I do without you? All right, so like I said, I want this to just be a highlight. I don't want to completely do a huge color shift here. So that's why we're working with this all as just one great big back. So I'm going to take a triangular section coming off of this line that I've created with my sectioning, and then right about the center, because around that's about where the hair is going to split. So I'm going to dip down and then come back up. It doesn't have to be an exact triangle, just something with a little bit of a scoop to it. I think you can see that. Okay.
This is live.
Yeah.
So
You can see. Little dip, dip, boom. Little pyramid. So then I have to think about how light and heavy I want this section to be. I'm going to be holding this section nice and taut with my hand, and then however high up I hold it, from where my fingers are is where the blonde is going to come together. So if you want a much heavier highlight in there, you're going to hold it a little closer to the head, because these two lines that I'm going to create will come together much faster. If you want something that's just going to flow and be a little bit more natural and a little bit less intense of a balayage, then we're going to hold it out a little bit further towards the end. For this look, I held her hair about mid-shaft, maybe just shy of mid-shaft. So I've got my little paddle here. I'm using Sunlights, and both on the mannequin here and on our lovely model, I did use 40 volume, because the clay base of the Sunlights lightener gives a really great stick without allowing it to be too harsh and gross. So I really enjoy 40 because it gives me the lift that I need in having something that's sitting out without going overboard. All right, so plenty of product on the side of your brush. Hold that. My paddle's in the way. We'll do it like that. That good? Or you want me to turn?
No, I think
We're good?
I think that's good.
All right. So see, I'm holding this straight out from the head, the top part of the hair, the top of my little pyramid is straight out from the head. And then about halfway up where we're going to start, you're just going to start sweeping. Balayage is French for sweeping, by the way, so just keep that in mind. It'll help. So I'm going to sweep down with my brush as I move up towards the head. Sometimes when you're doing this, I mean, a lot of times with guests, you're going to want to get that as close to the head as possible because they don't want too many roots. With both Rachel and the mannequin here, didn't go quite to the root because I wanted it to already have a little bit of a grown-in feel. Rachel's never colored her hair before. I think she said she had a demi in her hair like years ago. So I didn't really want to throw her into the deep end of crazy hair color. So I wanted to give her something that was going to be a little more organic, a little more natural, and it was going to flow nicely. So as you can see, I'm just painting these edges, and then as they come together, that's where that blonde is going to now converge and run through the ends of the hair. So I keep going, I grab it with my brush, lay it into the paddle, and then just paint over the end. One of the really beneficial things about holding that hair straight out from the head, you see as I let it go, the product that's on the hair makes it buckle a little bit so it doesn't press too firmly against the hair below it, which is what's going to ensure that you don't get bleed marks or anything like that that you're not really looking for. So coming over here to this side, exact same thing. We're going to hold this hair straight out. Mid-shaft, sweeping down while moving towards the head. Oh, thanks. Matt's the best. He hears me dying over here, so he brings me water. Oh, all right. So Matt does not get credit for that. Thank you, Christina, for helping me not die.
No problem.
So the first couple times that you do this, just like anything else in hair, expect to be a little bit slower. I mean, if this isn't something that you've done before, it is an entirely new way of approaching hair. You know, it's a lot more freeform. It's not as precise as, say, doing foil work or, you know, something that really is based off of make sure that you get this exactly where you want it to be. This is much more artistic. It's much more loose and organic of a finished result. I love that, which is possibly why I do love balayage so much. So I'm just enjoying the fact that it feels artistic again. I'm going in there and I'm creating something that's just going to sit so naturally in her hair that it looks great. It's fantastic. So you see what I did here with the saran wrap? I brought it up beyond where it's going to live, and then I just rolled it a little bit right as I placed it at my section. What that's going to do is it's going to offer me a little bit of cushion so that when I put this next hair down, just like we're creating that buckle by holding the hair straight out, it's also going to help just give a little bit of added insurance so that the hair is not pressing. And when that becomes really important is when you try to balayage hair that's really, really fine. Another thing that I want you to notice, the sectioning that we're doing, I'm sort of working off of the round of the head here. It's not straight across as, a lot of times when you're doing hair cutting or even just most things, you're coming straight across with the head here. I'm more rocking around the round of the head because I want this to be as diffused and natural as possible. One of the main great things about balayage is when you look at it, if it's done well, you don't look at it and say, okay, there's a highlight, there's a highlight, there's a highlight. It's really just more like, oh, there's a nice general area of lightness that just looks natural and organic. So having that off the round of the head and then doing these sections the way we're doing them, it's going to allow that to just spread and just add that glimmer of blonde throughout, or whatever color you choose to do. All right, so I have this next section here. Actually, you know what? We can thicken this up a little bit because I'm trying to highlight, not do a drastic color change. I'm still going to work off of, because she's got a natural split right here. You want to work off of anything like that. If you try to fight it, then it's not going to work and it's not going to sit right. This is what I'm talking about, working off of their hair to create the most natural look you can. So I've got this little cowlicky area over here. This is my full section. I'm going to go in with my brush, the pointy end of the Bali box brush, and then get that scoop out. Oop, I need some water. I'm going to die. Hold on.
Amy Berry said, best night ever, glass of wine and watching Brian do color.
Oh my God, I want a glass of wine with you, Amy Berry. You're the best.
Glass of red wine.
Ugh. At this point, whatever. I'll take it. I'm not picky. I almost just dipped the microphone in the water when I went to go take a sip. That would have been hilarious. You'd get to actually watch Matt kill me on live internet. All right, so take your point. We're going to come down and just scoop some out. The size of your scoop just depends on how much hair you want to leave out. I want to make sure that there's plenty of this hair being left out because all of this isn't going to get lightened. This is everything that's just going to hang so that this highlight just dances in between her natural hair. Make sure there's plenty on the paddle. On the palette, if you will. Coming in. Starting at the mid shaft, sweeping down. Again, sweeping down. One thing you really want to make sure you're careful of, and mannequins are always great for this because their hair is just always terrible by comparison to a human. If you're sweeping and you're not sweeping deep enough, if you move up to do the next section and hair comes with you, like I'm trying to grab some so you can see, but if you come and you go to move up without smoothing that hair out, then you're going to start to tease the hair and it's going to make a big old mess. You're going to start slinging lightener everywhere. So just make sure that your strokes are long enough to make sure that that section is nice and smoothed out, because this is all the reason you're pulling it tight, the reason you're holding it up. You want this to be very smooth. You don't want any rough spots or hot spots or whatever you want to call them. So then we move over. No, it works like that. You can see her like that. I'll move myself. Coming in, scoop out my highlight. Oh yeah, that's money right there. Mid shaft. So it's funny. Like I said, I'm going to talk to you as though you've never seen one of our videos ever before. Something that I do talk about in our videos that I think plays a very prevalent role in understanding the whole where these lines come together. It's called force perspective. And I say it a lot, and I've gotten called out in the comment sections of our videos before, so if that person is watching, mute your YouTube now, because I'm about to talk about force perspective again. Force perspective is something that they use in all different kinds of art, whether it's architecture or actual paintings, drawings, whatever. And it's basically just a way of creating something three-dimensional on a two-dimensional plane. One of the greatest alliterations that I ever use for it is the way they draw a hallway. When you look at a drawing of a hallway and how all the lines come together at the end of the hallway, even though they stop and your eye just creates that thing, that's how they create depth. That's what we're doing with the sectioning of this highlight. So, to show you what I'm talking about, I've got this, picture this, this is like my hallway right here. Because a lot of times people get confused about, well, how far do you draw the line before you just paint the ends? You don't ever just paint the ends. They paint themselves by being consistent with those lines and letting them run all the way through. So I'm creating my line on the right side, bringing it close to the scalp, but for this sake, I'm not going all the way. And getting that foundation in there. Now here is where you need to be consistent and make sure that your lines don't just get fat for the sake of getting fat. You want them to actually accent and highlight this hair. I'm going to hold it down just a little bit so the camera can see a little better which one I'm talking about. Like, go to Matt's camera maybe. You can see it a little? All right, yeah.
Okay.
So you can see here I've got my two lines, and then I just allow it to come together, and it's from that point on that the ends get painted. So just get out of your head ever that you have to saturate the ends, because honestly, they'll just do it on their own. And if you let them do it on their own, is how it's going to be more natural. Boom, back of the head, done.
I have a question.
I would love a question.
From Renee. She's saying, I'm just a student and we haven't talked much about balayage, so is it best to start in the crown area, or is it just preference for the stylist and this type of balayage?
Fair enough. When you're first starting out, understand that it's going to take you some time, so you're going to need to mix up different developers. Once you get the hang of it, you can roll through this quickly enough that you can start anywhere. Because if you're doing a full head, you're always going to want to work from the bottom up. So no matter whether it's a full head, half a head, wherever you're going, excuse me, you're going to need to work from the bottom up. Because as you can see, once we start to lay this down, I need to kind of leave that where it is. I can't really go back in there and disturb this too much more. It needs to just sit there. So we're starting at the bottom. And I start in the back because I know that I'm not doing as many sections there. So if it's the first time you're doing it, maybe use a level lower developer back here, because it's going to sit a few minutes longer by the time you get up here and work through your front two sections. Side note, on your front two sections, because there's more hair on it, always start on the heavier side of the part. Other note, I'm getting back to your question too. I'm going to talk about that some more. But as I was doing Rachel's hair, I thought about it. I know she pulls her hair up a lot, and I still wanted her to look natural. So when I did this scoop at the first section, I left out that very bottom, almost like sideburn section, because I still want her to be natural as it gets pulled back. I didn't want her to be a redhead when it's down and a blonde when it goes back or anything like that. if you are trying to do a major color shift, obviously that's when you would do this, because think about it. As that hair goes back into a ponytail, that's what you see. Let me just turn a little bit.
There you go. Yep.
Like that. All right. So, yes, I start back here in the crown because technically I was just doing a half a head because I'm just highlighting her. So I started back here right where the head starts to round off, because if you're creating a natural look, think about that's what the sun's going to hit. The sun's going to hit all this stuff that's on top. So as that head rounds off, everything beneath that parietal ridge doesn't see the sun as much. So it's a very natural place to start when you're doing balayage. All right, got my side section pulled straight out. I hope that answered enough of your questions. Please comment again if it didn't. If you want any more clarification, by all means. Otherwise, I'll just listen to myself talk forever. I feel bad this paddle's in the way.
I think it's okay.
Yeah? Is there another camera angle you want me at? Oh, look at that fancy. I like that one.
There we go.
All right. Whenever I'm doing balayage, I always make sure that those front few sections... Ooh. We're sitting under very hot lights, and this stuff is not meant to be put under heat. And I can see that. So I always make sure that my front few sections around the face get nice and close to the face. I think you can see that. Here, let me turn the mannequin for you. I have the ability. So you can see I've got that going nice and close to her face. Because, again, we're keeping this natural. Oh. And that's what's also going to get light. If you need a point of reference for how natural you want this to look, I always reference a little girl. Little girls that spend lots of time out in the sun, they get that naturally lightened effect around their face anyway, and it just looks gorgeous. So you'll notice this back section, I didn't come all the way to the root because, again, I want this to be a lived-in, natural, soft effect. And again, the sun isn't really hitting so much right behind her ear for any reason. But as this hair gets brought back, you will see, you know, that little dark pocket is really going to help that highlight pop. That was something I picked up years ago. If you've got somebody who's like super duper crazy ultra blonde, you've processed them, you've lightened them within an inch of their life, and they still come in and complain about wanting to be lighter, the answer is not to find a way to bleach them more. The answer is to start creating dimension by putting dark in their hair. I know it sounds crazy, but this is one of my favorite ways to do that, because I've got people that used to get super mega highlighted and still would come in and say, I feel like I just want to be blonder. And you're like, how? I've bleached you to death. This has become a really great alternative because it allows their base color, whether it's natural or artificial, it allows their base color to become a low light without them ever even realizing it. I personally am not a huge fan of low lighting because I feel like every time I put dark into someone's hair, eventually that's going to be a problem for me when I go to lighten that section of hair down the road. So I try to use their natural base as their low light as often as possible. And balayage has been a really great way to do that because, as you can see, we're leaving so much of this out.
Couple of questions too, Brian, when you're done.
Oh, that's awesome. I'll never stop talking.
Oh,
Come
okay.
on. You got to shut me up.
All right, Amy Berry, do you always have to take a large section, or could you just do a single strand, if that makes sense?
It does. I've seen lots of people that come and do, you know, smaller sections. I got to say, and I used to do that. When I first started with balayage, I did a similar section to this, but I took smaller little V sections, thinner, and I would just do my nice little line through. You know, I played with the paint sticks from Home Depot. I tried everything. And honestly, it was when Candy Shaw came out with this lightener that it really changed things for me. Because I remember when I got this and I started playing with it, I was like, all right, I dig it. I'm into it. And then when I watched the DVD that comes with the Bali box, I almost had a heart attack because she was sitting there painting these huge fat sections onto the hair. And I was like, oh my God, how is that not like the grossest, stripiest weirdness ever? But it's because it's got that clay base. That clay base grabs onto the hair and naturally diffuses itself. So that's why you can get away with doing much, much fatter sections with
Yeah,
this
this
particular lightener.
also probably time-wise too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because you can just kind of paint, go. Because I'm talking, obviously I'm slowing myself up considerably. But Rachel, I timed myself. I did Rachel's half a head of balayage in like, I think 19 minutes.
She has a lot of hair. I mean, we'll see.
I mean,
but-
yeah, her ponytail's like the size of my thigh, which isn't saying
So-
that much, but still.
So, the next question is, so do you only need to color the outside of the sections and not try to make small highlights in between? Which is kind of like
It's similar.
last
You
question.
can no, that all the width of your section here. Can you see that okay, or do you want me to tip it?
where you are.
All of the sections that I've done, all the sizes of these triangles, I'm leaving it wider because I want it to be a highlight. Like I said, if you want a much heavier highlighted effect, if you want more of a color shift, then by all means, split this in half and do 2 much smaller triangles. Do the triangles on the outside of this section as well as this section. Because the more hair that you put lightener on, the lighter they're going to be. And I know that sounds like such a duh thing to say. Hold on, sorry. I'm getting over a cold is what this is all about. A great way to think about it is when you're highlighting somebody's hair, whether you're foiling, balayage, I don't care what you're doing. When you're lightening somebody's hair, if you highlight over 50% of the hair, then you've given them a new color, basically. They've got a new color, whereas if you highlight less than 50% of the hair, then you're just adding dimension to their natural base color. So think of it that
So
way.
yeah.
So a wider section is going to be me adding dimension to her base rather than me making everything look so much lighter.
All right. And another question. Can you use foils if you don't have saran wrap? And second, can you put a client under the dryer to speed up the process?
Honestly, all right, so first part, foils, yes, you can put foils in between. I really like the saran wrap just because foils are for incubation, where saran wrap is more just for separation. Like you use foils when you want to heat up the lightener and speed it up. That's why when these companies say this is a balayage lightener or it's just a regular lightener, like this particular Sunlights, ironically enough, being called Sunlights, it doesn't take real well to being heated up. Like right now, like we've got these crazy hot lights on and I can tell a difference in the consistency of the lightener. Like it's getting wetter and mushier. And in the past, a lot of your balayage bleaches are clay based. And I've noticed when you try to heat them up to speed things up, it can make the lightener a little bit runnier, which is going to lend itself more to accidental bleed marks, sending the lightener where you don't want it to go. So if you have to use foil in between, just make sure you don't press real hard because that's the other thing. Like this is sticking, but because saran wrap is so flimsy, it's not smushing like foil might be able to do. So, I mean,
What do you say that kind of almost defeats the purpose of this look?
Kind
in
of.
a sense, you're not trying to lift them so much that you have to go in and tone.
Right,
You know.
because that's one thing with balayage is when people ask me who do I balayage on, who can I change over to this? The number one thing that I say, if your guest is somebody that and I'm trying to move so we can see her a little better. If your guest is somebody that you put all these foils in her hair and she has to sit for super long and you have to put those foils under a dryer and you're still like just barely getting to the blonde that she wants, they're probably not going to be your best candidate for balayage because if you want to get this done in just one sitting, this is essentially sitting out in open air. And we all know if you're not incubating something with foil, sitting in open air, it's just not going to get as bright.
Now back to your sectioning here and where you're placing.
So now I'm up on her part. Am I out of my own way? Here, try my camera.
Let's try this one.
See that guy a little bit? I'm up on her part, and I always make sure that this hair on either side of the part is always nice and highlighted because I want to make sure that that's the piece that's around the face so it looks nice and bright and light and delicious and wonderful. I totally forgot what it was like to have Matt assist you because he's worked so many hair shows, so he knows how to do like a hair show timed blow dry. So thank you for rushing. Now you just get to hang out. Oh, you're the best, Matt. You guys can't hear him, but he's flattering me and giving me lots of money. All right, so last section. Again, it's a mannequin, so if I'm not worried about using this same lightener because I'm not going to go mix up more. But because this is a smaller section, you're going to rock it through this a lot faster than all the rest of the head that you've done. So you may want to up your developer for this last little bit. And then just like I had showed you in the back that we were working off the round of the head, as you come up to the front here, you're going to work on a little bit more of a diagonal back sectioning because, again, diagonal is going to help to diffuse it. And then I like to work on the diagonal back because then as the hair comes back into a ponytail, it diffuses itself even more by going the opposite direction of how it was painted on. Because let's be honest, 99.5% of your guests are putting their hair in a ponytail. I mean, I put my hair in a ponytail for Christ's sakes. Like, everyone does it.
The other side, what was that section? Was that I don't know if you had said.
Yeah, I didn't say. The front two sections are doing diagonal back at a little bit of a slant or slope. How'd it come out, Matt? Did you love it? Did I let it lift enough? Yeah. Okay, good. Can you see it? Because that's the worst. I'm going to be like, you guys, wait till you see this amazing highlight. It's just camouflage.
Couple other questions.
Bring it.
What developer are you using for the back and then same for the front? I think you just touched on that. But
Well, because, like I said, because this is a mannequin, I'm just doing the same. Like, I mix the same. And I'm just using 40 because I'm so used to using 40 with balayage because, like I had just mentioned, since you're not using foils to incubate your lightener, that's when you're going to need to go back to your, like, beauty school 101 using a specific lightener to get a specific result. So if you want to get as much lift as you possibly can, that's when you're going to break out that 40 volume. I know for a lot of years, you get a little nervous when it comes to 40 volume with lightener. Maybe not all of you. I certainly don't. Which is why I burn off my hair all the time.
That was from Kirsten.
Hi,
And then
Kirsten.
Amy Berry again has a question.
Bring it, girl. Drink that wine. Give me your questions.
With it being in open air, how many levels of lift do you get with the sunlights with 40 volume?
You can expect up to 3 or 4. Again, I'm not going to sit here and make any kind of guarantees because if the hair is virgin, you're going to get obviously more lift than if they have it colored. Same thing for if they have finer hair versus coarse hair. That, it's one of those things that you have to have a very honest conversation with them. I love doing balayage, but that's when sometimes you have to get a little more stern with them when you're getting the history of their hair. They can say, oh no, I've never colored it. And that's when I remind them, your hair is down to your waist. This hair is 9 years old. You mean to tell me in the last decade you haven't colored your hair? Oh no, well yeah, I did it like 6 months ago. Okay, well that's a horse of a different color. So you really got to find all those things out because maybe some guests you could get away with only using a 20 or a 30 volume developer. But, there are others, depending upon what's in their hair and what you're looking for, you're going to have to go with something a little bit higher and brighter. So this last section, again, not doing everything. Make sure you leave plenty out because I'm just highlighting her color. I'm not turning her into a crazy bleach blonde today. Come in here, sweeping down. Boom. Sun. Drop the mic. No, Matt would kill me. Can I do that? Do you think it's cushioned enough? Matt said yes. All right. And then she sits. You can have some fun. I usually like to turn their saran wrap into a little plastic bob because then they think it's cute and it's funny and then they love me for it. So have fun with them. Do we have any questions while I drink water to keep from dying right now?
I'm trying to find someone's second question. Can you do more videos on getting a better understanding of color because I'm in hair school and I just don't get the basics of color?
All
So I
right.
guess
That's actually a really fabulous segue because I did want to talk before I bring out our lovely model and show it off. Like I had said at the beginning of this video, I wanted to do something a little different than what's going on right now so much in the industry and on Instagram and all that stuff. I wanted to play with warm colors. And it gets a little tricky to try to give you exacts on color because every color line is going to be tweaked a little bit different. So I'm going to try to keep it as like hair color 101. You've got your primary colors, your red, yellow, blue. When I talk about warm colors, I'm talking about reds, oranges, and yellows. When I saw, her gorgeous red hair, I really wanted to accent that. And I wanted to accent that with nice, rich golds. I said I wanted to keep her natural, so I wasn't looking to make her bleach blonde highlights. I wanted something that maybe when people look at her, they don't go, oh, wow, you got highlights. It's more like, but there's something different. You look great. So I knew that to create golds, I needed to look at my particular color line that I wanted to use and look at their color map. Every color line that you have in front of you, I don't care where you are, what color you use, every company gives you a map, and it's generally a color wheel, and then it shows you on the color wheel where each of their colors live. So if you look at that, reference that always. I don't care if you're in beauty school or if you've been doing hair for 50 years. Everyone needs to reference that as just a little bit of a refresher every now and then. So I looked at my color map, and I figured, okay, I want gold. She's lifted to about here. So this is what I should do. I found a really great gold toner. I added lots of yellow intensifiers to it because I knew that her highlight wasn't super, super bright, but I just wanted to add that extra love and that warmth to it because warm colors reflect light, so they look brighter. Ashy colors, or cool colors, I should say, are better. Cool colors, which are the other side of the color wheel, your blues, purples, greens, they absorb light. So had I decided to give her cool highlights, say I lifted her to a level 9. If I chose to keep that warm, those warm colors are going to reflect light and look nice and bright. It's going to look like a nice bright level 9. Had I chose to make it a platinum or an ash or a cool color, it would absorb light, therefore, even though it's the same level, look a little bit darker. I hope that's not too much. I think that should help out a little bit.
I do have 2 more questions, and
Bring
it might touch on your finishing, but in
You can
case
touch on whatever it wants.
in case that you have to tone, do you think it's better to do on dry hair or in the bowl? And also, how do you retouch the color?
Okay.
So I don't know if you wanted to bring.
No, it's
you
fine.
know,
As
the
far
model
as
over.
toning goes, it's just going to be, it's, again, going to depend on your color line and depend what you're looking for. I know most colors that I've played with, if you do choose to tone on wet hair, it will not be as long-lasting of a result, and it's usually not going to be as intense of a result, but it will still get the job done. A lot of times we don't allot time for drying the hair, and people don't want to pay for an extra blow dry before you tone. So I just sort of tend to tweak exactly which toner I use or which developer I use for that toner to make sure that I can do it on wet hair. Our lovely model, she was toned on wet hair. I did it myself, and it worked out okay. So there you go. As far as retouching goes, what's cool about that is it's actually up to you. You can either really test yourself on your consistency and go through and try to section it out the same and pull out the same everything and literally just find those triangles that you've done before, which I've done. Totally possible. It's about being consistent. Pull out those triangles and then just retouch, bring it from the root down to where your previous highlight was. What's cool about having that natural diffusion that you get from the clay base, it's not a real hard start line, so it's not a scenario where a little bit of overlap is going to make it snap. You know, it's a gentle enough lightener that I'm using so that a little overlap is just going to make sure that it marries together and it looks great. That's one option. Another option, if you're trying to create even more dimension than you did the first time you did this, as you pull out those sections, make sure you don't follow the lines that you did before. You know, maybe go in and put your lines just off of where they were before so that there's a little bit of root left from the highlight you did 6 weeks ago, And now this new highlight goes all the way to the root. So it just adds a whole new level of this hair was lightened twice, this hair was lightened once, this hair wasn't lightened at all. And it's really just understanding and having that conversation with your guest about what kind of end result you're looking for.
And Candy Martin, how do you know if a client would look better with cool tones or warm tones?
It's generally you're just going to want to look at them. You know, are they like the pinkier skin or the tanner skin, that kind of stuff? What is their natural? I don't necessarily go off of, I try to keep it off of what their natural hair color looks like, honestly. I feel like I'm one of few hairdressers out there that loves warm tones, so I try to push for that as often as possible anyway. It's really going to be, again, that discussion about how naturally we're trying to create a look. Because cooler tones, while they can be pretty and fun, are not as natural looking. You know, you're going to be pretty hard pressed to find someone that naturally grows bluish hair or purple hair, whereas finding golder tones, orangier tones, much more natural. So that might play into what decision you decide to make. You know, looking, you know, eye color, skin color, all that fun stuff, what's just going to marry together a nice look. You know, do they have more tanner skin? I think looks better with ashier tones just because it, you know, their tan looks pretty unnatural anyway, so you might as well drive it home with a nice platinum blonde. Yeah, I think that helps. Hope that helps.
I think so.
Ready? Yeah. All right, Matt said I'm done, so I'm just kidding.
There is just one more. What happens when they decide to stop doing balayage? Does it grow out nicely?
Oh my God.
That's like the best part about it.
Yeah, that's the main purpose for balayage, is because it's such a natural look. To be completely honest, it doesn't ever really grow out. It will just naturally, well, it does grow out. I can't really say that. But it grows out so nice and natural that it's not even noticed, because it gives them just that natural dimensional look to start off with. So it really helps to make sure that as it grows, it's graceful, it's pretty. Balayage will eventually just sort of grow into an ombre. It's really cool. So for the people that maybe are looking to stretch out those appointments, they can't make it every 5 weeks. You know, they have to stretch to maybe 6, 7, whatever. Balayage might be a really good alternative for them, because it's going to allow that more graceful. You know, I tell my guests we redo balayage when we want to, not because, oh my God, my hair looks terrible, I have to get it done. So I hope that helps. All right, so let's get Rachel out here. I hope with these lights we can see lots of amazingness. I don't know where to put this ever. Nothing? Fair enough. Hi. All right, so let's get you right here. All right. So we pull this back. Oh, cool. All right, actually turn around and lean your head back. So I want you to see what's going to be the best light for this. Which do we like? The matte camera? Yeah. So just, yeah, kind of wiggle as I'm moving you, like that. It's difficult because I can't tell where the camera is, so I'm just watching the screen here. All right, so you see as I run this hair back, you see exactly what I'm talking about as far as these highlights just naturally living in the haircut. Because I pulled each of those sections out, it's automatically customized to what her haircut is. I wasn't looking to create something crazy. I just wanted to give her really pretty gold dimension to this hair. So you see we went in, we used those nice yellow tones, the orange tones, to really play off of her beautiful natural red. And it works out because I use the curve of the head. There's no exact stop line in the back of her haircut. It just sort of diffuses itself out and then goes away to a more natural, with just her natural color coming from underneath. So as you, let's see, yeah, perfect. Where's that camera again? Keep going. The matte cam. Oh, there it is. All right. Is the light hitting that okay? Yeah. All right. So as you see, when I pull her hair back, she still has her natural color. She doesn't look, it's not some alien color that she's not used to. But because we did it on that diagonal section, it diffuses itself so that there's still the highlight in there, but it's not hard, angry stripes like you sometimes see with foil work. I'm trying to rake it. Oh, there you go. That's a nice little accent shot. You're a fabulous model. You're doing a wonderful job. You just keep doing absolutely nothing and you'll be perfect. So that's pretty much it. Let's get this back shot. Now lean your head back for me. And I just want you to see, like, this was the benefit of not going all the way to the root with all the highlights, is that now I don't have to worry about some crazy grow out because, like I said, when you look at her hair, there's nowhere that you look at it and say, oh, that's the exact start point for a highlight. It just kind of highlights itself, just like the sun did it. It's a really nice blowout, Matt. You should get a job in this. I'm trying to remember which way was your part right there. Okay, so
Chantel says this is gorge.
thanks, Chantel. You're gorge.
Amy says so pretty, Brian.
Me or the model?
I'm sure she would say both.
She better mean both. Awesome. All right, so hey, can you see? Like, this is your first time seeing it on the little camera. Do you like it? She said beautiful, folks. She's happy. Yeah, she's seeing it after you guys are seeing it. So that's like, this is real talk right here. So, all right, thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed our Hump Day hair party. Feel free to shoot us any more questions. We got social media out the wazoo. So you got freesaloneducation.com. We got Free Salon Education on Facebook, fan page, like us, my Instagram, the salon's Instagram, Free Salon Education's Instagram. You can go anywhere you want. We love you guys. We're more than happy to help out however we can. Let us know if there's anything in particular that you'd like to see for one of our Hump Day hair party classes. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you so much.
FreeSalonEducation.com invites you to join us every Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for live and interactive classes from your favorite free salon education educators. So grab a mannequin, get set up, and make sure to share your results using the hashtag FreeSalonEducation. FSE Live starts now.